Okay, nistueno ka itsnotspiaki nitsuganaki kisukui nitakutsipoi gistunana our Blackfoot traditional sacred sites in our traditional territory. Good morning. My name is Rebecca Many Gray Horses, and I'm from the Kainai Nation. Today, we will be learning about the Blackfoot traditional sacred sites and teepee rings left behind by our Blackfoot ancestors. The Blackfoot sacred sites are still significant to the Blackfoot today, and many remain as places for ceremony, vision quest sites, and a gathering place to offer prayers. Before contact, the Blackfoot had many places where they had ceremonial activities and worshiped with prayers and fasting. There are thousands of sacred places throughout Blackfoot territory. The Blackfoot passed this knowledge of these sites through our oral traditions, and other evidence come through artifacts and those remaining landmarks which have survived the settlement of the prairies. Medicine wheels, teepee rings, rock formations, pictographs, rock write-ins, effigies, buffalo jumps, pounds, and cairns may all provide historical clues. Many of these places have been destroyed, these sites just being rocks or cairns to the settlers. Unfortunately, disrespect for these historical and sometimes sacred sites continue to the present day, despite efforts to protect them. More than 160 vision quest sites have been identified from the Crowsnest Pass, which is west of here, all the way down through the Rocky Mountains into Montana. Those are specifically Blackfoot sites. And of course, this all being in Blackfoot traditional territory. And as I mentioned before, these sites remain sacred to the Blackfoot as when the ancestors walked these parts. The following are the most sacred sites to the Blackfoot, and they are used for vision quests, fasting, ceremonies, a place to gather medicinal plants, and some have springs which are considered sacred and with sacred energy. And I'm going to talk about these four sites, and you may be intrigued, after learning about this, and you may want to visit, but please remember that these are our sacred sites and need to be respected as such. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is Ninastaku, which is Chief Mountain in the west of here in Lethbridge. Chief Mountain remains as one of our most sacred mountains. And there are other mountains that we consider sacred, which is Crowsnest Peak and another one called Devil's Thumb. These are other sacred sites that are known. Chief Mountain remains sacred for First Nation people, both in the U.S. and Canada. And First Nations from all over North America, they travel to the base of the mountain for ceremonies, to place their offerings and other ceremonial activities. In the early 1900s, white settlers came to the area, the base area of the Chief Mountain, and they observed native burial sites there that were scattered all along the base of the mountain. So Ninastaku is one of those sacred sites. We go there, we still go there. We still go there to have our fast and ceremonies. We go there to pick our plants. So today that's still very much a sacred site. The next one that I'm going to talk about is Riding on the Stone, Asinate. So it's on the southeastern corner in Alberta, near the town of Milk River. And the Blackfoot have, for more than 8,000 years, revered it as a sacred site, and as a safe place for passage through that area. You know, if the Blackfoot were going on war parties or horse raiding parties, they would stop at Riding on the Stone as a safe passage. And so it's always been a place, you know, regarded as a sacred site by the Blackfoot. It's also a place for vision quests, ceremonies, and a place to go do our offerings as well. There are many Blackfoot legends that tell the stories of the sacredness of the land, and it's been known to us Blackfoot people that, you know, very powerful spirits, you know, are still there, and so, and if anybody has been to Riding on the Stone, they, especially for us as Blackfoot people, and we see the write-ins, and it's such a connection to our history, such a connection to that that ceremonial past that we have. And so whenever I go there, I feel presence. I know that there are, you know, that there's presence there. So that is the second sacred site that I wanted to talk about. So the third one that I would like to talk about is Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump. It's not so specifically a sacred site, but it's still a site for us that's revered as such, because of course it was used for hunting buffalo, and it's located near Fort Macleod. And in 1981, it was designated as a United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural World Heritage Site. And it's one of the world's oldest, largest, and best preserved buffalo jumps. And the jump bears witness to a method of hunting practiced by Native people of the North American plains for nearly 6,000 years. Excuse me. And as I mentioned that, although the site is indeed a sacred place to the Blackfoot, it is now acknowledged more widely, well beyond the Blackfoot people, as a place to learn from and about the incredible history of the Blackfoot people, including the profound relationship the Blackfoot had with the buffalo. So that's another really interesting site to visit. And the fourth one that I'm going to talk about is the Sweetgrass Hills. And so the Sweetgrass Hills are part of the Blackfoot's creation story. And there's other legends of that place that is told by our ancestors. And of course that's passed down through the generations. And the site has been used since time immemorial. They are, you know, there's a cave there. I know that there's a cave there, and there are some sacred artifacts in that cave, and we were told by our ancestors to never go into that certain cave because of the sacredness of it. And so I think it's the East Hill where this cave is supposed to be. So it's located, there's 3 distinct buttes that make up the Sweetgrass Hills. And it's in hunting parties in the past, and that was another area that they would go to prepare. They would also go there for vision quests, but that was a significant site to us. In landmarks, you know, that is probably one of the most, you know, as well as Chief Mountain, one of our most renowned landmarks of the Blackfoot territory. So Curly Bear Wagner would run these cultural sites or cultural camps at the Sweetgrass Hills in the 1980s and 90s. But he was also leading a fight to save those sacred, to save the Sweetgrass Hills and against mining, because in the 1980s and 90s, a mining company was going to come in, and I don't know specifically what they were going to mine for, but they were going in there. And so he led this, this dispute, and what he said was the hills in their natural form as home to many plants and animals are part of our traditional economy and spirituality. No one part of the hills is more important than another. And the Sweetgrass Hills in their entirety are sacred. So this was, and so today we still go there. It's a place that we go to make offerings, a place, there may be people that still go there to do vision quests, but I do know that, cultural camps were held there in the 1980s and 1990s. So those are the 4 sites, within Blackfoot traditional territory that I wanted to talk about. And so I'm going to continue on with Tepee rings in southern Alberta, which we consider too as sacred sites, and we do go there still to these sites and visit, make offerings, and spend time there, to pray. And I'll just explain what the differences are between a medicine wheel, stone figures, and Tepee rings. So the medicine wheel is identified by a cairn of rocks with spokes radiating outwards in all directions, like something like what you would see with a wagon wheel. And these, this is what we identify as medicine wheels. They do not always look like wheels, but there's always that central cairn with those spokes out there. The stone figures are shaped like animals or humans in some part of a larger formation. And these stone figures, there's some located near Siksika, and they include 2 Napi or old man figures. And then there's the ward effigy is, it's designated as a provincial historic site, and that's located at a hill near Cluny. There's, and then you have the Majorville wagon or Majorville medicine wheel in that area as well. So that is a really particular area where you can find these medicine wheels, stone figures there. So there must have been a lot of activity going on in that area, thousands of years ago. So, and the Tepee rings are circles of stones that are used to hold down the edges of the lodges. And thousands of Tepee rings can still be found on the prairies. Each one has its own story. And the size of the ring indicates if the Tepee was used during the dog days. If it was, it would be smaller. And after the horse arrived, they would, of course, be bigger. And if there are 2 rings and a circle of stones in the center, it was probably used in the winter. That was probably a winter camp. The inner ring would show where the liner, inside the Tepee, where the liners were held down, and then the outer side would be those, the stones on the outside. So that is how you could tell the difference with those. So across the Blackfoot territory, stone circles can still be found, during, our times there, with, live in that nomadic lifestyle. So those are the difference. I just wanted to point those out. For the Blackfoot perspective, teepee rings were left when the camp moved, and the teepees were taken down and moved with the camp, but the rocks were always left behind. And in our way, in the Blackfoot perspective, our teepees always had the door facing east, marked by a break in the circle of stones. And when someone died in the teepee, the entrance was sewn together, and the stone circle was made complete. And that happened, there was a lot of this happening during the 1837 smallpox epidemic. And even today, there's a park here in Lethbridge, Cottonwood Park. So in that area, in the confluence of the St. Mary's and the Old Man River, there was a place where in Blackfoot, it's called Many Dead. And so this was a campsite, and there was a collection of stone circles without door openings. And so this was that area where the smallpox epidemic hit at camp. So they're still, it was found at one time that those collections of stone circles without the door openings were there. And for us Blackfoot people, we knew that that area was called Many Dead because of a whole camp being wiped out. So in regards to these teepee rings, there were many throughout Blackfoot territory, but as settlers came in and they moved in, many sites were decimated and markings were gone. And for us, for the Blackfoot people, there was a purpose for those teepee rings. There were markings and stories left behind. So today we can maybe still find some of those teepee rings. I know that there's a concerted effort by our people. I know Keepa is starting to record where these sacred sites or these teepee ring sites are on the reserve, and I think they're starting to map out in the Lethbridge area as well where these teepee rings are. So I will talk about the teepee rings in southern Alberta. There's the Hoyt teepee ring site, sits on a 20-meter high terrace on the east side of the North Milk River Valley, which is about 12 kilometers northwest of Del Bonita. And this site consists of 176 teepee rings, 25 stone arches, which they believe are partially buried teepee rings below, and 4 cairns, of stone piles. And most of these rings are deeply buried, and they contain thick rock walls consistent of 2 or 3 rows of stone. So these are scattered throughout that surface site. And so, yeah, it appears that, it represents a campsite of our large social group and with small extended family camps. So it could have been a big camp, an Akugatsasin, a Sundance camp for us, of how, when all the clans would come together. So, that's one perspective that we have of that site. The other one is the Sundial Medicine Wheel, which is located on a hilltop near Carmen Gay. And this medicine wheel consists of a central rock cairn with 2 surrounding circles joined by a passageway of stones. And no excavations have been done here, and its date of construction is unknown at this point. But I mean, they're probably still working on that. And the Blackfoot have used this area for vision quests and ceremonial events. The other teepee ring is Suffield teepee rings, and they're located near Cypress County, Alberta. And it's located on rolling hills overlooking the South Saskatchewan River. And this site has 14 sets of teepee rings, medicine wheels, and other various rock arrangements. So I've never been there, so maybe one day I'll go there, but I have not been to Suffield yet. I have been to the others. And the other one is the Majorville that I mentioned. I still have not been to that one, but I will. And it's located near Bizano, Alberta. And it consists of a central cairn, which is linked to surrounding circles, stone circles by 28 spokes. And archaeology studies indicate that the site has been used for the last 4,500 years, and making this one of the oldest religious monuments in the world. And artifacts are deposited in the cairn and with layers like an onion. And so the oldest material is on the inside and the more recent is on the outside. And so for the Blackfoot, there are many teepee rings that are not documented, but known only to them, because they want these sites to remain, a secret, because they don't want people come in to, to mess with them, to be, they want them to be kept respectful. And so in Montana, there's teepee rings there, and in Alberta, on the blood reserve, there are teepee rings there, and they're not open to the public, and I think they want to keep it that way. So, and I just read an article about the Majorville. There's been a man that has been studying that site for years and years, and he's wrote several articles on it. And he thinks that it's got even more of a perfect alignment to the sun than the Stonehenge. And so that was really interesting. And I haven't finished reading that article, but I will, because Majorville is one place that I would like to go visit. So these are the sacred sites, the teepee rings that the Blackfoot people still hold true and dear as sacred sites for us. And if you do go visit, we respectfully ask you to please keep in mind, that this is where we do our offerings and make our prayers. But we're open to sharing it, our history, with the public, but just please be respectful of it. Thank you.